Welcome back to another episode of 5 Minutes With. This is your host, Alex Alexander with Client Focus Media. Today I'm so excited to bring Amy Bradley from Briglia Hundley PC. They can be found on the web at BrigliaHundley.com. The G is silent. Welcome, Amy. How you doing?
I'm awesome today. Thanks so much for having me again, Alex. It's good to see you.
Excellent. Well, it's good to be seen, and it's also good to see you, so welcome back. We talked a little bit before on one of the other shows we have, and you obviously have a kind of a unique foray coming into law. A typical person, right? They find something about law, whatever they're going to school. Like, I'm going to go to law school, and then they come out and they're doing the law thing. But you were actually you were studying to be an investigative reporter. Is that correct?
That's correct. My foray into being a lawyer is pretty different than I think most attorneys. So I actually went to undergraduate and studied at the University of Missouri, studied journalism, broadcast journalism in particular, and actually was working in the television news as the Mizzou program does. So I was already working at the NBC affiliate in Columbia, Missouri, and got my start while I was still in undergraduate studies. And I became really interested during my studies in investigative journalism. I loved the deep dive that you get to do into a particular subject. I like trying to find out everything that's possibly out there to learn about any given subject, and then doing something that was more long form than just a quick, 1 minute, 1.5 minute story. And so after I discovered that passion, I was so lucky because I got to do that at a TV station when I was in Pennsylvania. So I was both the investigative reporter and on what we call the I team, but I also was able to become the court and crime beat reporter, which is just really where I discovered that I wanted to be a trial lawyer. I got to sit gavel to gavel for the first time in my life and watch trials occur, both criminal and civil. And I thought both were very unique, very interesting. And frankly, I was like, I really want to do that. It looked intellectually challenging. It looked like you really got to get that deep dive that I really love into a particular subject. And you're sort of the person in the room that's the expert. You know as much about this case as anyone else, probably more. And so it really was a great fit for me. I decided after covering several high-profile criminal trials and one high-profile civil trial that I really wanted to become a lawyer. And so that's what prompted me to go to law school. I really didn't anticipate that I would definitely be a practicing attorney. I wasn't sure how I might combine the investigative journalism with being a lawyer. And it turned out that I just started practicing law, obviously, and then fell in love with it. And so I get to combine the two things that I love most, which is like deep diving into subjects and really trying to figure out, the tiniest and most minute details, figuring out the things that other people don't know or don't think to ask. And then that's kind of how I approach my cases. And it's just been such an incredible fit, and I'm absolutely passionate about what I do.
It seems to me that if a person has the mindset to be that true kind of a reporter, right, or the investigator actually, that when putting it into context of the courtroom, you should be almost always a winner because you already know to ask those questions, like you said, that these other people just aren't asking. So that's got to be a lot of fun. Can you tell us real fast? Do you remember the very first actual case that you sat in as the attorney?
Yes, absolutely. So the first case, what I can tell you is that I definitely remember my first actual court appearance, which was funny because I'll never forget. Now, one of my colleagues that at that time was an attorney, but now is a judge, said he was going to pop popcorn and come and sit in the back row and watch me, which is so nerve-wracking. So that was just the first court case that I actually appeared as an attorney in. And so that was pretty funny. It was just a little motion. And so looking back, of course, it was something sort of low stakes. While I actually became an attorney, we were in the middle of a capital murder resentencing. And so I was very lucky that I actually went from law clerk to becoming an actual attorney during the midst of that case. It was obviously a very high stakes case. And then I remember my first trial where I was solo, and that was a DUI trial. I was scared out of my mind. Any attorney that does criminal defense will tell you that DUIs can be pretty technical. There's a lot of things to know. There's a huge body of case law that you have to understand. I was very, very nervous, and it came out incredibly well, thanks to some good mentors and a whole lot of preparation, when sometimes that preparation can be spurred by fear, which in that case it definitely was. I was like, if I'm going to take this case to trial, I have to be able to figure out a way to win it.
I like the very last thing you said. If I'm going to take this thing to trial, I need to find a way to win it. That's the attitude, right? That is the attitude that I want every attorney to have. And so I want to thank you very much for being on the show today. And I want to thank you for what you're doing. I want to challenge anyone out there that's in Virginia. And if you need an attorney, of course, you don't know you need one until you need one. But I think you should now know who Amy Bradley is from Briglia and Hundley. Do a little research on her. Find out a little bit more about her. So when you need somebody, you know where to go. So you can find out more about her right here at iwannabuzz.com, or you can go to BrilliaHundley.com and find out more about Amy Bradley. Do something good for yourself and do something good for others.